We had the unique opportunity to survey the USS Arizona. Filmmakers saw that we had these ROVs and they said, you know, can we use your stuff?
Welcome back, Wreck Watchers. Today I'm very excited to introduce you on the Sunken Live series to my good friend Sam Macdonald, president of Deep Trekker. I am here in Kitchener-Waterloo at the head office of Deep Trekker, and Sam Macdonald is my good friend. Thanks, Sam, for doing this interview.
Thanks for coming out today. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to connecting with you again.
It's been a while.
Yeah, so Sam and I, we've known each other for a little while, ever since Mike brought us out on his adventure looking for that U-boat in Turks and Caicos.
When do we go back?
I don't know. I'd like to go back. But if you haven't had a chance to check that out, it is the Lawrence Fishburne Show, History's Greatest Mysteries on History Channel, and they followed us as we were with our good friend Mike looking for a mysterious U-boat in Turks and Caicos.
Hitler's U-boat, maybe?
It could be. We don't know.
Never know.
Spoiler alert, we don't find it. That's why we're here and we're not in Turks and Caicos. But Sam, I've been dying to do an interview with you because you have an incredible, fascinating life. How long ago did you start off doing stuff underwater?
I grew up in the Great Lakes area and was always a boater, you know, and I guess I got my first boat when I was in my 20s.
Really?
Which is a while ago now. And we were storm stayed in Leamington, Ontario. And in Leamington, they have all these plaques of all of the wrecks, all of the the lost fishing boats and vessels that happen over the treacherous Peely Passage.
Yeah.
And I started to read all the stories. I didn't have much to do while we were waiting this out. And I started to think about all the other places that we went. And one of my favorite places on the planet is Tobermory, Ontario. There's literally thousands of wrecks in the Great Lakes, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I really became fascinated with it, but I wasn't a scuba diver at the time. So, you know, I was stuck to the shallow wrecks with my snorkel. And, you know, the way life goes, I didn't end up getting my scuba diving license. And then we were out with some friends on our boats, tied up, rafted together, having a good time one evening just off of Port Elgin. We ended up dropping a flashlight. It was a great light. It's waterproof. A great light for a boat, but it doesn't float. So the light was shining, and it wasn't my light either, so I felt pretty guilty about dropping it. But it was shining up, and we were devising all these crazy ideas about how we could get it. Of course, we tried to free dive for it, but it was down about 45 feet, and we couldn't reach it. And it was that night that we started to think about, why is there no remote control submarine with an arm, right? So, and I thought, you know, in those moments, you're like, maybe this is $1 million idea. Maybe we found, you know, we've invented something. Yeah. Reality is, remotely operated vehicles, as they're called, have been around for many, many years. But at that time, we're going back to about 13 years ago, what was available was pretty complicated and very expensive.
Yeah, it would be really out of reach for the average person to be able to
so it just
even
wasn't
think
there.
about. Yeah.
So it got into my head, and I thought, we should do this. And it was through a network of friends that I ended up hooking with my partner now, and we started the company. And we started making affordable, easy to use, portable underwater robots.
So this all started because of a lost flashlight that you lost. And did you get the flashlight back?
The flashlight is still down there.
Wow, so maybe that could be a Wreck Watch adventure. We could go look for this flashlight and see if we could recover it using a Deep Trekker, of course.
We'll take some robots down, but it is somewhere about a mile off of Port Elgin.
Wow, okay.
That would be quite the story, though, if we did go and find it. Unfortunately, I didn't have the wherewithal to get the coordinates of where exactly we dropped it. I wasn't really thinking we'd have a robot company at that time. But that's how I got into Deep Trekker.
Okay.
And then when we started to take, we finally had our first prototype robot, we were doing guerrilla marketing. I would go to the harbors and the ports and the areas in Ontario where all these thoughts got started. And I got to go out and take this down and see some of the wrecks with my own eyes, of course, on a screen. And I thought, this is amazing. And then about 2 years after we started the company, I thought, I need to go down there and touch these things too. And got my scuba diving license after that. I've been fascinated with wrecks ever since. We had the unique opportunity to survey the USS Arizona.
Yes, I wanted to talk to you about that.
Oh, it was like life-changing moments.
Okay.
I mean, what a historic wreck, but also just very emotional.
Back up a little bit and tell me how that whole situation occurred.
We were there supporting a customer of ours. He was in charge of doing the sonar scanning of the Arizona. And so he said, if you want to come out, I can probably get you on site and you can watch what we're doing. So I did that. But of course, I'm going to Hawaii, so I'm going to bring a couple of my smaller ones with me.
Yeah.
And so we happened to be on site, and there's a filmmaking company that was out there filming this for the 75th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
Right.
And they had another ROV out there, and it wasn't working. Granted, it was a very specialized ROV. They made a lot of really special things for this actual project, and you know, we can't fault these people. I know what it's like to make an ROV. It's not doesn't always go perfectly.
Yep,
but we had, you know, things
yep.
that we had been selling for a few years there that were, you know, had 4K cameras on them. And the last sort of lucid survivor of the tragedy was on the Arizona, was there, and they wanted to show him his ship for the first time live and film sort of his reaction as he was seeing this. And so we were there. The filmmakers saw that we had these ROVs, and they said, you know, can we use your stuff? You know, we got to be involved in it. And if you watch, it's a PBS documentary called Into the Arizona, you'll see us. I make an appearance myself. So,
nice.
But yeah, we had two at that time, which was great because not only were we filming what was happening inside, we got great shots of the ROV inside.
Yeah, so that's called Into the Arizona.
Yeah.
So Into the Arizona, if I can find a link for the PBS show, we'll put it in the description below, but definitely check it out. It's very, very cool. Since you started Deep Trekker, Deep Trekker itself has been all over the world, is being used by all different kinds of projects, from movies and television projects to exploration, militaries, coast guards. All these people are using them. So Deep Trekkers are everywhere.
We were actually involved in the Franklin expedition, the finding of the
Yes.
Erebus and Terror. And I would have given my left arm to go up and be a part of that. But unfortunately, once you get up to the Arctic, you're there for a good long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, I don't know if they wanted too many extra people on the expedition. But wow, what a historical story. And if your viewers haven't watched all the documentaries on the Franklin expedition, it's unreal. Even if you're not a documentary person, this is a heck of a story.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely something you need to check out. Parks Canada was really involved with that, with you, right?
Yeah, so Parks brought our ROVs up when they were the first expedition, when they were looking for the Erebus, and they did find it.
Wow.
And what's great about the story is they used Inuit knowledge. They talked to people,
Yes.
and somebody had remembered.
Yeah.
I think it was their parent or grandparent talking about this ship.
And it's been passed down from generation to generation until we find it.
I mean, these folks knew where it was.
Yeah.
And you know, here we are.
Nobody thought to ask them.
It's like, so it's a great tale of just discovery and shipwreck finding. But the expedition itself it's great. I won't spoil it if you don't know the history. But there was heroes and then heroes fallen from grace.
Yes. Yeah, not villains, but definitely.
There's if you're into creepy things, there's some stories of cannibalism in there.
Yeah, it's got everything. And Deep Trekker is also being used for a lot of ocean cleanup. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's quite a few of our customers that are using the ROVs to not only monitor environments, but pick up lobster traps and lost fishing nets. I do think it would take a few lifetimes to clean up all of the ocean gear that's out there. But every time we pull up a rogue net or a trap and it saves marine wildlife, it does feel like we're doing a little bit of good. The other thing that ROVs tend to be able to do in terms of environment is show what's out there.
That's right.
But with the disasters and and trash under the ocean and in the lakes, people don't get to see it. And that was one of the things that struck me with Deep Trekker before I started diving, was every time I put it in, I would see two things for sure, guaranteed. I would find trash and I would find invasive species.
Yeah.
So the Great Lakes have been unfortunately a victim of two big invasive species that I know about, the zebra mussels, which unfortunately are taking over most of our great wrecks that we have.
Yeah, that's for sure.
When we first started up in Tobermory, for example, the wrecks had no mussels, and now they've really taken over a lot of the wrecks there. And then the round goby fish. So there's just a ton of these bouncy little, they're quite cute, but they're not supposed to be in the Great Lakes. So we have to be really aware of what's happening. And I know that the microplastics problem is also out there, and if we can show even how do microplastics get there? Well, they come from other trash, right?
Yes.
So being able to bring light to that is something that is a bit near and dear to my heart.
That's amazing. So you started looking for a flashlight, losing a flashlight, and having this idea, and now you had that first deep trekker unit. How many variations of the deep trekker do you have now?
I think we're into about 6,000 robots that we've sold worldwide, so installations. But we have 8 different systems. So we make 3 different types of swimming robots, I like to call them. So 3 ROVs.
Okay.
Small, medium, and large.
Yeah.
And why would you choose one over the other? Well, one's great for current handling and lots of payload. That's your larger unit. But if you want something that's very quick to deploy and very simple to take on a small boat, for example, then you go with the smaller one. And of course, the middle one's in the middle.
Yeah.
We got into pipe crawling. So we had a customer that was using our small DTG2 to put it into pipes that were running under reclaimed land in Florida where it used to be swampland and now there's houses on it. Well, they have to manage all the water. So he was inspecting the pipes with that. And it wasn't the best tool for him. And I asked him, why are you not using a pipe crawler? Yeah. And he said, well, the pipe crawlers, you have to bring out a whole truck. And I'm working on people's front lawns, these $1 million homes. And so I run everything from a golf cart, and I need something that's super portable. And so we thought we should do that with a pipe crawler. Yeah. And so we took a lot of the technology from the deep trekkers, so the batteries, the tethers, the handheld controllers, and then really focused on that ease of use piece and made a pipe crawler. So we now have 2 different pipe crawlers that we have as well, in addition to the swimming robots. And then a system of networked cameras that are meant to stay under the water as well. So we've come a long way in 12 short years.
And now you're adding a lot of technology onto your deep trekkers, so they can be used for a whole wide array of different tasks and different missions.
People want to do more than just look at stuff now. They want to model it. If you think about one of our biggest sectors is energy. Okay. And so if you look at a lot of the energy plants, inshore energy plants, whether that's coal or nuclear, a lot of things were built from the 40s to the 70s. Right. And they built them with a certain lifetime in mind, and now we're really pushing to the limits of those lifetimes, and they've never been, in a lot of cases, they've never been inspected, and so we're looking at them for the first time, and the engineers are discovering things that maybe need to be repaired, but how fast is it degrading? So they want to build models of these things and do change management over time. So we're looking at technologies in photogrammetry, laser scanning when the water's clear enough. We're even trying to figure out, how can we use 3D sonar to build these models so that, you can do an inspection and then 3 months later do it again and measure the level of degradation, even if there's zero visibility. So we're really pushing the boundaries of what's being able to be done underwater, and that's exciting.
That is very exciting. Now you have had quite the life of starting this, losing a flashlight, having this concept to how many years ago did you start?
The flashlight was in 2009.
2009,
and then we incorporated the company in 2010, late 2010.
Yeah. And how many employees do you have now?
We're 110.
110 employees.
Yeah, so we're 100 here in Canada, and then we have a wholly owned subsidiary in Chile. Because aquaculture is a big part of what we do, fish farming, and so they want to make sure that the farming is sustainable, and that means making sure that the cages are in good shape, that the feeding is optimized, that the moorings are not going to come loose in a storm. We don't want to lose the fish stocks. It's not only expensive; it can be detrimental to the wild stocks that are around. So we want to make sure that everything is being done above board. So we're both on the fish farm side of it for fish health, and then also on the enforcement side as well.
Wow. So anything that's happening underwater, Deep Trekker seems to be involved in. Is that correct?
I like to say, if it's in water or contains water, I won't tell you about some of the things I found in the potable water tanks I've inspected before, we've been around, and I'm pretty much the luckiest person on the planet. I thought my life was going to be all about hunting shipwrecks and going to poker runs with my Deep Trekker, but I've been able to see much, much more, and it's shocking the amount of cool things to see underwater.
Sam, this is an amazing facility that you have here. Do you have time? Could we take a little tour, walk around, see what you have going on here?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay, great. Let's go. Okay, so Sam, we are on your factory floor. Tell us where we are. What are we looking at here?
So this is where all the magic happens, right? So this is where we make all the robots. So all the parts will come in, bill of materials, sometimes up to 300-400 parts, and then these skilled people put it together for us, and we build everything from the robots themselves, all of the communication systems. So we have a full computer system that runs and communicates between the handheld controller and the units themselves, yeah, pretty much put everything together.
Wow.
We have a full testing, so we're the only company that I know of that pressure tests every single robot.
You pressure test everything?
Everyone. So
Really?
it's important for us to know that when we put it together, everything's working just as it should before somebody takes it out and goes to depth and something can happen. We want to know here in the factory and make sure that it goes out perfect.
And I don't see a big conveyor belt. It doesn't look like, you know, the Ford plant with people on lines doing all the robotic kind of stuff for this.
Yeah, no, we're pretty we're craft built. I mean, we do use tools, of course, but we do some sub-assemblies here, but you know, generally it's one person that's doing all the final assembly and testing.
Wow.
So there's a great amount of care that goes into these things.
That's amazing.
So yeah, we'll take a walk this way.
Yeah. So this is the pipe crawler here?
Yeah, so this is our brand new product called the A200 pipe crawler, and it's 200 because it goes inside of a 200 millimeter pipe.
Okay.
But it's got a pan-tilt zoom camera on it, lights, lifting arm. You might not think that pipe crawling and looking in your sewage and wastewater is too exciting, but sometimes people like to put some interesting things in there. Probably the most exciting thing we found is an alligator. So we had a customer of ours that ran up on an alligator, and he was in the stormwater pipe.
Seriously?
And he would not move, that guy.
Really?
So, yeah, that was pretty
that's
neat.
amazing. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we do everything end to end. So we didn't want to rely on any third-party companies to make our controllers or our software.
Okay.
So let's say you wrote software to run your robot and it was in someone else's operating system or environment.
Right.
Then if they make a change, then you have to jump and make that change to all the units that are out in the field. The way that we did it from the end-to-end control is that we can ensure that whenever we make a change, our customers are made known of it well in advance, and then we get the firmware and software updates out there to make sure that even, you know, we get robots back for repairs or battery upgrades that are 10 and 12 years old.
Really? So they're
we'll
still
just
using
keep
them?
on getting them working. Nobody writes our software. We have a full team of software engineers that are doing all of that. And what that allows us to do as well is optimize in real time. So we've got a lake facility. So if we want to make a change to a robot, if we're adding something to it or changing the way that it behaves, the engineers can go to the lake, iterate on the software, put it in the lake, test it, see what's happening in real time, and not just rely on what they think is going to happen. So we really are constantly upgrading and innovating.
These are the controllers behind us here?
Yeah, so we've got, you can see some of our evolution here. We have an old controller there on the right-hand side, and then of course moving to our newer modern controller. We're working on yet another interface that's coming out with a bigger screen. So what we found particularly with the swimming robots, it's great to have a 7-inch screen. It shows you the video. It's nice and bright, shows them the sunshine. But then if you need to know your location, you've got a map on there, and you've got your sonar as well. So we're running out of room on that one. So we're coming up with a brand new handheld interface. And we've also got control consoles that you can run on them as well.
Okay, so what are we looking at here? I've seen this unit before. Yeah,
so this is the Revolution. So this is a top size and top end of our ROV line.
Is this what you brought to Turks when we were looking
I
for the U-boat?
had one of these here. This one's got some special stuff on it. So this will be, we've got a number of these that are coming together to be deployed to look for contraband on ships.
Ooh,
so one of
fun.
the agencies in charge of making sure that bad things don't come into the country has purchased some of these.
Okay.
And as you can see, we've got extra cameras on there, extra lights. They're going to have a 360 view of what the bottom of the ship looks like, just to make sure that bad actors aren't able to bring anything into the country. So these are our very sexy looking pressure tanks.
Wow.
So that lid of that pressure tank weighs more than my car.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it's in the magnitude of pressure that's in there is equal to, I don't know, something like 30 bulldozers pushing down and up on there. So that's why there's so many bolts there.
So what would the depth rating be on this tank right now?
That one will go down to about 1,200 feet.
So you put the unit inside and you crank up the pressure to see how it performs at 1,200 feet.
Yeah, and so we not only just let it sit there. If you can see over here, it's actually running a routine.
Okay.
So it's an automated routine where it moves the cameras up and down. It rotates the thrusters, and we run a full battery cycle within there as well to make sure that everything is just running perfectly. So once they've been through all their pressure testing, we do test them in the swimming pool, as well as at our lake facility. So Levi's got one running here in the pool.
How's it going? Okay.
Levi has a monumental task of looking after all of our demos and fleet units. So this is a pivot, and we just had a high school class in. having a look at what they can do with it. So we've got some toys in there. It does have a grabber arm on it, so that you can actually go and pick up the objects that you've dropped. So this would have been really helpful to pick up my flashlight way back in the day when we dropped it down there. But yeah, great for lost keys. But we just did, actually, Levi was just involved in a job where we were picking up accumulator airbags. It's an energy project, and they were done with using these bags. And so Levi and Zach from our team went out and they brought down lines, and they used a piece of copper pipe to thread it through an eye bolt, like a big eye bolt, and then they brought the lines back to the surface and they winched up these enormous bags.
Wow.
You know, literally tens of thousands of pounds. So yeah, they're really useful. So not just for looking at stuff, but doing actual work.
And the skill of the operator to do an operation like that, like how many hours of practice do you need to be able to operate one?
Well, I don't know. It depends. If it was me, it probably would have been thousands, but Levi's got some mad skills, so he got it done. But they were out there about 3 weeks total time working with this company to bring up all these bags, and they brought up 8 accumulator bags.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
So that's our facility in a really quick tour.
Yeah.
But give you an idea about what we do and how it all comes together. So we like to show off on our social media all of the great things that we get to look at.
Yeah.
But this is a bit of a sneak peek in maybe the not so glamorous side of what we do. I tend to like it. I think it's great.
Sam, thank you very much. I really appreciate you giving us a tour and taking the time for this interview today. You and I have had some adventures in the past, and I know we have some very cool things coming up. And I want to make sure that you guys watching out there, that you hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, because you're going to see more about Sam, more about Deep Trekker, and some of these great adventures that we have planned, especially in this coming year. So thank you very much for watching, and remember, deep down, we care.